Hi, this is David with David's Tutorials, and this is video number 1 in a new playlist on my channel. I've debated a long time whether to start this playlist, and this one is going to be about how to build websites. Now, this is an introductory part of the entire video, which is more than an hour long already. So if you want to skip ahead to the meat of the presentation and skip the intro, then go ahead and skip to the time that's on your screen right there, and that'll start the meat of it. But first, everybody needs to know, where are we starting from? The video that's about to follow this introduction is a video that I recorded in a training session for a new friend who was starting a website, and he asked for my help. Now, I've been building websites since 1995. I've been doing it professionally since 2005. So I've got a little bit of experience in doing this. I've probably built more than 100 websites, and I found some things that work and some things that don't work. Now, the starting point for this is that the student, my friend, the person that I'm helping, his name is Andy. So when you hear me refer to Andy, I'm basically talking to Andy in this video and teaching him what he needs to know to get a very quick start on building his website. Now, the starting point for this is that he bought his domain name. He got an account with a host. We've got the website domain hosted. And at that point, we then installed WordPress on his website. Once WordPress was installed, I installed the Divi theme. Now, as far as why I use WordPress and why I'm using the Divi theme, if this is something that interests you, please let me know in the comment section down below, and I will be happy to create a video that tells exactly my reasoning for selecting these particular pieces of software. Now, the starting point is that Andy had a lot of content for his website, and he needed a way to get it put up online so that he could make it behave the way he wanted it to behave. Using WordPress and Divi is the best way I have found so far to solve the combination of making it do what you want it to do and making it available so people with not a lot of website building knowledge can actually build and maintain their own websites. Let's go ahead and get started. Here's the video from Andy.
One of the things that I do since this attack of macular degeneration, I've learned how to hold down the Windows key and press the plus key over on the numeric keypad, and it goes, boom. It zooms in the screen pretty big. Let's talk a little bit about the Divi theme. We have this WordPress. It's already up. It's on Divi. I pretty much am doing everything in the Divi theme right now simply because I have found it to be powerful enough to do anything I want it to do. And also because I have a lifetime license and I don't have to pay a subscription fee. So yay, yay for that. Now let me explain to you a little bit about how the Divi theme is set up. I have gone ahead and put a login form right down here in the lower right-hand corner of the home page. We can put this login form anywhere you think is more appropriate, but I think this is okay because we're going to want your authors and editors to be able to log in and post their own content, whether we can set it up so that they post it and it sends you a notice and then you can approve it, or whether they can just go ahead and post it without your approval. That's something we can set up later. Once it's logged in, it tells you, here I am logged in. And once you're logged in, you will see across the top this black bar. You see my cursor moving? Okay. Now, the main thing about editing pages, there's two things you need to do. Over here, if you hold on Christian Grandfather, whatever, and you go to Dashboard, that will take you to your WordPress Dashboard, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But the other thing I wanted to show you is over here where it says Enable Divi Builder. See, when you hover over it, it turns purple. Okay, I'm going to click on that. And it's going to take it a few seconds because it's got to load up a whole bunch of stuff, send it from the server uh, over the wire to my computer. And you know what? Maybe it's been too long and I'm not logged in. Look at that. I'm not logged in. if if you click something and nothing happens that you expect it to, there's something else going on. So I'm going to click here on login because I've already saved my login name and my password, and I click on login. And this is that little multicolor thing is the Divi twiddle. There are 4 types of elements in the Divi builder that we need to be aware of, and they're color coded. The overall element on each page is called a page, and the color coding for the page is purple. See the purple down here on the bottom? The only thing you see in the purple right now is this expander button. And if I click on that, it expands and it shows all the page options in this bar. And if I click this, it basically closes that expander button. Now, inside each page, the topmost element is called a section, and sections are coded blue. I don't see sections. Tell you what, let me do. I'm going to click on the expander button here, and I'm going to come all the way over to the left on the bottom, and that's the wireframe view. I'm going to click on the wireframe view, and this basically shows all of the elements in the page. Let's see, let me go ahead and get that down to about that level of expansion. Okay. The overall element inside a page is a section. You can see on this page, we have a section there, we have a section here, and that's all we have on this page. Inside each section, you can have as many rows as you like. Now, rows are basically horizontal divider elements. We have 1 row inside this section, we have 1 row inside this section. Now, in each row, you have columns. Now, the columns, you see, in the control bar for each type element, you have a number of control elements. Let me zoom in because you got that. And when I hover over it, it may give us what that is. Move the section, the 4-headed arrow, move the row. This gives us the settings. There we go. Section settings, cogwheel is the settings. There's the row settings. The thing that shows 2 boxes, that means duplicate. I hover over that, it says duplicate the section. That's duplicate the row. It takes what you've got and it makes another one exactly the same. It duplicates it. Let me do this, and I'm going to duplicate this row right here. I duplicated it. It duplicates that row within the section. Notice we now have a new row within that section. Okay? Now let me go ahead and zoom back in. This one is change the column structure in that row. Let's go ahead and get to the duplicate row and change the column structure. Right now, there is only 1 column in the row. We can tell because of the modules. And this, let's zoom out a little bit. 3, 4. We can see we have the 1 column set in that row, but we could change it to 2 equal columns. We could change it to 3 equal columns. We could change it to 4 equal columns, or we could get it columns that are not balanced. And you can see there's a whole bunch of different column structures you can select. So if I change it to like 5 columns, we now have the 3rd element inside the row here, but we have plus signs here where the plus sign is basically meaning to add new. Okay, so I'm going to go, let me zoom back in and talk about this right here. This has to do with a library. You can save that row to your custom library. That means if you want to use it again somewhere else, then you get it out of the library and do it. And the final element here is to delete the row. And since this is the duplicate row, I'm going to go ahead and click on that. Let me get zoomed back out so we can see we're in this section with the row that was original and the row that was a duplicate. And I'm going to come back here and I'm going to delete the row. I click on that and that row is gone. Okay, let me zoom back in. And we're up here on the top section, the row in that section. And the final thing that you have in the control bar is the 3 dots. Now the 3 dots, or when you have 3 bars, the 3 bars are called a hamburger icon and the 3 dots are, I don't know, a vertical ellipsis, but that basically gives you more. And when it basically means more stuff is here. When I click on that, it gives me the context menu. Let me zoom out just a little bit, where you can save this row to the library. You can do a split test. You can disable the row. Like if you have a row and you want to use it later, but you don't want to delete it, but you don't want to see it, you can disable it. And if you disable it, you can disable it on the phone, on a tablet, or on a desktop. Let me go ahead and disable it right now and show you what that does. If I disable it, see what happened? It made it grayed out, kind of pale. If I can click on that again and I can enable the row, and I have to enable it on all 3 elements, the phone, the tablet, and the laptop, and that's what we have. You can lock the row so that nobody can change it. You can collapse it so it doesn't show any of the other elements inside of it. You can copy it and paste it somewhere else. You can copy the styles, and we'll talk about styles a little bit, or you can reset the styles back to default. You can view only the styles that have been modified. You can do a lot of other stuff. I'm not going to get into that right now, but this 3 dot button basically means more, and it's present on the section, it's present on the row, and it's present also on the 3rd element, which is called a module. Now notice down here under the module, we have plus signs. Modules are in this dark gray color. You can see we can add another module. We're going to do that in a second. Here's the green, which identifies row. We can add a new row, and here's the blue, which identifies a section, and we can add a whole new section. Let me zoom out for a second, and you can see the wireframe structure of the page. Let's look at this second section that we have, which only has 1 row in it, but you can see we have 2 columns in that row. We have a wide column, and we have a narrow column. And in the wide column, we only have 1 module, and that is a blog module. And in the other column, let me zoom in, we have a sidebar module, and we have a login form. And when we get out of the wireframe view, you'll remember you're basically looking at the page in a WYSIWYG format. You know what WYSIWYG means? And it's an acronym for what you see is what you get. So we basically in the Divi builder have 2 kinds of views. We have a wireframe view and we have a WYSIWYG view. So if you think back to the WYSIWYG, you saw that login form. That's what we have, the columns. Let's zoom back out a minute. The columns in the row, and inside the columns we have modules. Now here, this is a very key element for understanding how to work with any page builder, including Divi, and that is all content goes in a module. Everything else is structure. And while we're in the wireframe view, no, I don't want to do it in wireframe view. I want to do it in the WYSIWYG view. So I'm going to come back down to the control panel on the bottom of the screen, going over here to the left, and you see the wireframe view. Let me zoom in so we can get a better view of that. Zoom in a little closer. Notice here in the control panel on the bottom left of the screen, the wireframe view is green, which means that one's active. Notice here on the bottom of the control panel, you have a more type button, and that gives you a whole bunch of other things you can do. And we can explore that later if you want to, but you can also change the view to desktop, tablet, and phone view. Now, one of the things that we need to keep in mind as web builders is that 62% or more of anybody who visits a website these days does so on a mobile device. It also is important to know that Google, which is the primary search engine, and everyone else is now penalizing sites that are not mobile friendly. So what we have to do is to make sure our site is mobile friendly. And let me show you right now how we're going to do that. I'm going to get out of Wireframe View into WYSIWYG View, click, it says Wireframe View, and I'm going to click that, and it still is going to say Wireframe View. So basically you're turning it on and off. Let me zoom out, but you can see we're now in WYSIWYG View. It's basically what you see is what you get. In other words, you're looking at a very good representation of what's going to be the final web page. Now, everything you see on this page in the form of content, in other words, not structure, the text, the text and the images, basically, that's all content. Everything is in a module. All right. Now, what we have here, we have a header section. Now, that header section is coming from somewhere not on this web page, and I'll show you that later. We have another section right here. Let me zoom in on that one. And sadly, the section, there we go. When I hover over it, you notice we get a blue highlight. Blue is sections. This is the section control bar. We have those exact same elements. We can move it. We can look at the settings of the section. We can duplicate the section. We can send it to the library. We can trash it, or we can do all the more things that we had before. We can do all those things in the section. Inside the section, we have a row. Row is identified by green. Now, I'm clicking on the row. Notice we also have the gray, which is the module. We also have the plus button. We can add a new module. We can add a new section. We can add a new row. Let me zoom that out just a little bit. Now, one of the reasons I absolutely love Divi, and they didn't even come out with this until after I had built it, is you have what I call front end editing. We are right now looking at the front end of the website. Now, the front end in website speak is what the site visitor sees. The back end is what everybody used to see who is a web developer. Let me zoom that back in. Here we are, zoom back in. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to come back up here to the top black bar. I'm going to go to the Christian Grandfather Magazine element there, going to go down to dashboard. Now I'm going to right click on that. Now you can right click on a Mac, and I'm going to open that in a new tab right there. It should be the top one. Now up here, we have a new tab. There's where we were. We were on the WYSIWYG, and here's the new tab. I'm going to zoom out. This is the WordPress dashboard. You have a little bit different dashboard on WordPress.com than you do on a self-hosted WordPress site. We now have a self-hosted WordPress site, and I'm going to zoom back in, and I'm going to show you the dashboard. Okay, here's the dashboard. One of the things you always want to do periodically is go to your WordPress dashboard and check for updates. Notice right here, if you're on the dashboard, you can see updates, and here's a 1 in a circle. So we have one update available. Let's click on that, and it will tell you when you have to update your WordPress core. Now, there are basically 3 things you need to update on a WordPress website. You might want to make a note of this. You want to make sure your WordPress core is kept up to date. Now, I've got this set up so that it should be done automatically. And it tells you here your WordPress, you have the latest version of WordPress. You had to update your plugins. It says all your plugins are up to date, and you have to update your themes. And here it says we have a new update available to the Divi theme. And all you have to do to update it is to click on the theme and click on update. I'm not going to do that right now because we're in the middle of a bunch of other things, and I only want to update the theme when we're not doing anything else. Okay, back over on the dashboard, we have been looking at updates. Here are posts. Now, when you hover over it, you get this context menu. You can see all of them. You can add a new one, and you can do other stuff, which I'm not going to worry about right now. I'm just going to click on the posts, that post item. I'm going to click on all posts, which gives us all posts. Now, this is the posts. You can click here to add a new one, and that's usually what I do because I like seeing all the posts. You can see here I have created 3 sample posts or tests. There's a test post, there's a test post, there's a test post, and those are what are showing up on the WYSIWYG front end. Okay, I can also do more posts here. Here's the media. You've already been to the media tab, and I see you've uploaded several really good things. So we don't need to worry about that right now. I will show you a couple of things on the media tab that if you click on one of the elements, one of the items in the media pool, it gives you a pop-up. Notice it's black all the way around the outside of it, and you have an X in the upper right-hand corner. That's a pop-up that's that particular media element. You can zoom in on it like that. But over here, there are several things that you need to pay attention to. It gives you all the data on that. It gives you the dimensions of that, and that's very important because sometimes you might want to know how big can I blow it up without it getting pixelated. This alternative text is very important for screen readers. What do you know is true for most older people as far as vision? It's not as good as it used to be when they were in their 20s. And when you go on to a website that's designed by a 20 something guru that has no clue or doesn't even care about people whose vision isn't as good as theirs, you get really small print, you get low contrast stuff, you get all this stuff that's really hard to see, and they don't care. So we need to make sure that sometimes people whose vision is even worse than mine are going to be visiting this, and they have screen readers that tell them what's on their screen. And when you have an image, when the screen reader gets to that image, what you have here in the alternative text field is what pops up in there. Now you've got a title here. By the way, I'm hitting tab. When you're on a field on a web page, hitting tab usually takes you to the next thing. Okay, I'm going to Control C, copy that, and on a Mac that's Command C, you know that. And I'm going to come up here and Control V, paste it. I pasted that text in there. So now what you've got in there as a title will also pop up in your screen reader as alternative text. So when the screen reader gets to it, it will read out loud that same thing. Now, a caption is what will appear underneath that whenever it shows up on a when you put it on your web page. That when you put text in here, the caption will show up underneath that particular image. Okay. Now the title, let me tell you this: the title is what shows up when you hover your mouse cursor over the image. It pops up in a pop-up box. Now, if you want to have that particular image show up somewhere else, this next field, the URL, is you can put that on any web page and it will take it from your website and you can copy it to the clipboard and that sort of thing. I'm going to go ahead and close this image without doing anything. Oh, by the way, you can go to your next image. Let me zoom out. See, there's the next image, there's the next image, there's the previous image. That's just navigating your media area in WordPress. Let me zoom back in and we'll show you what else we got here. Comments are basically, if anybody comments on your posts, you can click on that and see all of them. And if you've got it set up so you have to approve all comments, and I would advise that, then you can come here and do improve them all at once. I've never gotten into projects, so I'm not even going to address that right now. Now, appearance, that's something we're going to use a lot. That's where you go to your themes. We're going to go into customize here in just a few minutes. It goes into widgets. We're going to get into that. It goes into, you control your menus here on appearance. Basically, we want anything up to the menus through appearance. We're going to get into that. Plugins, this is where basically one of the things that makes WordPress so popular and prevalent is that the WordPress core is controlled by the WordPress people, and nobody should ever modify the core. That way they keep it secure. And hackers are always having a hard time breaking into WordPress, because as soon as somebody figures out a way to break into the core, the team, the WordPress team, they put in an upgrade and a fix, and you upgrade your core, and boom, it's protected again. And they've been adding a whole bunch of features to the core as well. Now it's got a whole bunch of stuff in there that it never had when I first got started. But the main reason that makes WordPress so popular is that you can add your own theme. Now, a theme, initially, all it did was control the appearance, the color, the structure, the fonts, the font sizes, where things were on the page, that sort of thing. And themes have now expanded to include functionality as well. Now, Divi, you install it as a theme, but it's really not just a theme. It's a full function page builder. Okay, it does a lot more than just control what it looks like. So besides, you have the core, you have the themes, and you have now the plugins. The plugins expand functionality. If you need WordPress to do something that WordPress can't do, one of the bywords ever since WordPress got to be popular was, there's a plugin for that. And if you could think of something you need WordPress to do that it can't do, there's probably a plugin for that. Akismet is the Akismet Anti-Spam. Basically, it gets into your WordPress, your post comments. One of the very popular things for slimeball spammers love to do is to get onto WordPress posts, and they post a comment, and in that comment, they post spam. They post a link to their website. They post a link to whatever they're selling. And if you don't have comment moderation turned on, it's posted on your website. Well, one of the things Akismet does, it gets into the comments, it detects these spam things, and it filters them to a spam folder. The other plugin I've got Login Press, and I'll show you that in a little bit here. I've got a child theme creator. Now, if you need to change anything about your theme, what you want to do is you want to create a child theme. The child theme lets you make a change to the child theme, and when they update the theme itself, like Divi comes out with updates 8 or 10 times a year. If they come out with an update and I update my theme, and if I've made a change, it basically gets rid of my update, the change I made. But if I make a change to the child theme, they can update the main theme and my change is still in place. A child theme is basically a child of the theme. What it does, it takes the main theme that it's a child of, and it includes everything in that theme, and then any changes you make are put on top of that theme. So when they update the underlying theme, the change you put on top of it is still present in the child theme. Let me show you that right now. We'll come back to plugins in a second. In Divi, this is the Divi theme right here. Down at the bottom of the WordPress sidebar, you have a WordPress Options. I'm going to click on that right now, and I'm going to show you right here. Let me zoom out just a little bit so you can get a better view of it. In the Divi theme options, you got all these options you can put in. And down here at the very bottom, you got some customization. You know what style sheets are? Well, I'll explain more about those in just a second. But I have myself just yesterday put in some custom CSS as a cascading style sheet. And I'll tell you about that in a little bit. But I put in my own CSS code, cascading style sheet code. When when Divi sends out their next update, if I did not have a child theme, that would go away and I'd have to put it back in. And what that has done, it has put in, it has made the blog look like I wanted it to look. And let me go back over here to the page itself, up on the tab on the top. Okay, so we're in the dashboard here. Let's go back over here, and I'm just going to click on that, and that'll take us back to the front end. Now, it used to be that these posts came with the image full width from left to right and the post down below. I said, no, that wasn't what Andy said he wanted. He wanted the other one where the image was off to the left. And so I went over here to this cascading style sheet and I told it, I want the width. I found out the element, which was this element, and the image within that element, IMG, and I want the width of that to be 200 pixels, and I made it important. And I want it to float to the right, and I made it to the left. I made it important. And I wanted the margin on the right-hand side to be 5 pixels so that the text wasn't jammed up against it. And I made that important. And I put a border that was 4 pixels, solid, gray, CCCCC. I'll tell you about that. And I made that important. And because of that, we can see now that the images are only 200 pixels wide instead of being full width. We can see that they're floating off to the left-hand side of the text. We see that there's a 15 pixel margin on the right side of the image, and the image has a gray border. That's what I did with that cascading style sheet code. Did that make sense? You don't have to remember all that stuff right now. It's basically presented to you just as an overview. That's basically why we have a child theme of the Divi theme. Let's go over here to appearance real quickly, and I'm going to show you what we've got here on appearance themes. Now in the in the WordPress, zoom out, themes, we have a whole bunch of themes. Now I'm going to suggest we delete all these other themes. The only thing we need, and if you're happy with Divi, we'll leave it there. We have Divi as a theme that's installed, and it's not active anymore. It was active at first, but then I installed the Orbisius Child Theme Creator as a plugin, and I told it, go out there and create a child theme of Divi. And it did that, and it made it active. And so now active is the Divi child theme. So that whenever we make any changes that were not present in WordPress and were not present in Divi, and we had to do it, for example, moving the featured image on the post off to the left and giving them the margin and the border, then they won't go away the next time Divi gives an update, and we have to come over here to themes, Divi right here, and it says a new version is available, and we could click on that and it would update it. It would update the Divi underlying theme to the child theme, and my changes that I made would not go away. Okay, I know I'm going over a lot of stuff really fast here, and it's basically just orientation. Okay, it's orientation just so you know it's there, so that later on when something happens and you see, oh, there's a red circle next to the theme update. What does that mean? David told me that. Ooh, ooh, ooh. I know what it means now, and you'll at least have that page in your mental scrapbook to go back to. Okay, we were on plugins before, and I was talking about plugins. Okay, I'm clicking on plugins. We were talking about the child theme. That whole thing was child theme. The only other theme plugin I've got plugged in here is really simple, SSL. Let's talk about SSL. That means Secure Socket Layer, and what that has to do with is right up here in the URL bar. Notice it has here the very first 5 letters. See them, HTTPS, the very first 5 letters. This is the URL bar, HTTPS. The S is critical. The S stands for secure, and when you have an S, you have a padlock icon. This is called the protocol, Hypertext Transfer Protocol. That's what HTTP stands for, Hypertext Transfer Protocol. S means secure, and secure, you get the padlock icon. Okay, that's why I have this really simple SSL plugin in our website. It gives us the secure protocol that keeps people from getting the warning when they visit it for the very first time. Now let's go back to the appearance, and the next one down is customize. I'm going to click on that one. All right, here we are. We're on the customize screen. Now, this is a very common screen for every theme installed on WordPress. I'm going to drag this a little bit wider because I want it to appear as a desktop. Notice when it gets smaller in the Divi theme, the menu went away. It became this hamburger icon. If I click on it, it drops down the menu. Now I'm going to see if I can drag this a little bit wider. There we go. Now the menu shows up right here. And the reason for that is we're going to talk about styles. We're talking about fonts, we're talking about color, we're talking about sizes, we're talking about highlights, what happens when you mouse over something. All of this is styles. All right. Now, when you customize a website and you go to Appearance Customize, you're going to come to this particular screen, which gives us a whole bunch of things we can customize about the overall website. Let me zoom in a little bit here and we'll see what we got. Whoa, that zoomed in big. This zooming in really helps me be able to function with my macular degeneration. All right. You are customizing Christian Grandfather Magazine. Now, I know that you want to change that, and that's okay. We'll get to that. Active theme is Divi, child theme of Divi. I don't want to change that. All right, let's just look at what we got here. General settings. Okay, I'm going to click on that, and it drops down, and we have site identity, we have layout settings, we have typography, and we have background. Site identity, let's check that out. Look what we have here, Christian Grandfather Magazine. You want to change that to what? Christian Grandfather, what, Fellowship was it? Network. Well, I'm going to change it right here, Network, Christian Grandfather Network. And we have that. Your tagline is encouraging Christian grandfathers and future grandfathers. Is that what you want it to be? Good one. Grandfathers. You don't want me to put a second T in there, grandfathers? There, good one. Good catch. Okay. Site icon. Now, we don't have a site icon here. In the menu, I put my web design icon just so we could see an icon. Do you have a icon graphic that you want to use right now, or should we put it in later? Okay. I'm going to show you how to do this right now. I'm going to use, we have an icon right in the media pool. Let me zoom out a little bit, select site icon, and I'm going to use this as a site icon. Now, all you have to do to change it is from drag a new icon right here into this particular, where it says select image. You can drag an icon here. I'm thinking out loud. Maybe I could go get a brand new one and show you how to do that. I'm going to do that. Let's go ahead and set this first. Set it at that, and I'm going to select, and it says okay. But now let me zoom in and show you something. I'm going to go up top, up top, up top, and look at the tab right here on the tab. See that? That's the icon, and we just changed it. Now let's go back over here. Let's go to the site icon. Let's change image. Okay, let me zoom out a minute here. Now let me go ahead and how about an email logo? I've got my File Explorer set up to show file extensions. This one's a JPEG, and from a previous email, you know what that is. It's a compressed image file. This is a PNG, which you know is a compressed image file, but it has transparency. Let's just use this email logo. Okay, you can see I now have my File Explorer overlaid over my select image window. Now watch, I'm going to grab this and drag it over there, and when I get it over it, it turns blue. I let go. It has now uploaded it. I'm going to click on it, make sure it's selected with that check mark. I come back here and I select crop image. I don't want to crop that image because it's square. And this is why I like a square one or else a circular one. Say skip cropping. Yes, it does. Now that says that. Let's zoom back in. Boom. And look up at the tab, the browser tab at the top, and look at that. It's now a email icon. I'm going to leave it at that so that when you get your new icon, you can come right here, you can change the settings, drag it into the media pool, select it, boom, and you'll have it. Okay? That's your site icon. You can pretty much always drag and drop into your media folder. Okay, we're done with the end of these site identity settings. I would click this back arrow and that takes us back here. That's where we were, site identity. Layout settings. Now this is not very much we want to get to right now. Basically, it doesn't give you a lot. I don't mess with this. You can have a box layout with, I just leave it at the default, and there's a gutter width and all these other things. You can play with them if you want to, but I'd suggest you play with them on a site that's not live. Theme, accent color, select color. I don't really get into that very much because Divi gives me all the control I want. So I don't do the layout settings. Typography, now that's where we want a lot of emphasis here. We want to look at our body text size. The line height is basically the distance between lines, and that's very important for readability. The header text size, this is basically all of your header text, and it's the starting point. All of the things you set here in site customization are the starting point sizes. Letter spacing, distance between letters, header line height. We don't want any of this other stuff because you get it all in Divi. Body font. Okay, this is where we want to have the default theme font. And we can set that here, and anything else that's going to be different, we'll set it later. Now, the reason it's really good to do this in site customization is we can watch it as we change it. Now, this text here, you can see this is filler text. And we're going to go back and edit that in a minute, but we want to right now edit what it looks like. Okay, body text. Now watch what happens. We've got it set at 14 points. I really like the minimum point size to be 18 points because that's what people with older eyes need. So watch what happens. Watch what happens over here as I drag this little slider. There we go. Let me zoom in so I can see it a little better. It still says 14. But now 18. Now you could see it changing in the body text. All right. Now here's line height. Watch what happens to the distance between lines as I drag this. Generally, you want a minimum of 1.2, but they had it set at 1.7, and I think 1.7 is pretty good. Now, if you drag it and you don't like what's there, see this arrow right here? That's your reset arrow. Boom, it puts it back to where it was. Now I could do this. Ooh, that says 19, doesn't it? That's 18. Okay. Now, header text. Where do we have some header? Go to this about page. Okay, there's nothing on the page, but that's header text right there. We can watch that. And header text size, they've got that at 30. I kind of like that where it is, but we could change it here. I'm trying to demonstrate how it's changed. See, there it is at 41. And I'll show you here in just a sec. I'm going to reset that. A lot of times the defaults are good enough that if this is header font, default theme font. Now we can change it to anything we want. I do not like changing the fonts in the theme customizer. I'd like to change them in Divi because that gives me more control. But here is where you can change it, and it changes all of the defaults for the whole website. Now, another thing we need to look at is color. Here is body link color. So we don't want to change any of these defaults unless we want it to change for the whole website. Body text color. Notice it's not black, it's off black. I want it to be totally black. So I'm going to come down here and select totally black. And you see right here, this is called the hexadecimal color for whatever you select. Let me show you one of these other colors. Notice it gives you letters and numbers. First, a very quick lesson on what hexadecimal is. We're used to counting in the decimal system, meaning base 10. You count 0 through 9, and that's a set. And then once you add one more, you have a full set. So you have one set plus 0 units. Okay, 1 0 in decimal system is 10, and we're used to seeing that as 10. So it's one full set of 10 and no more individual units. In hexadecimal, it's base 16. And the way they count hexadecimal numbers, hexa meaning 6, hexadecimal meaning 6 and 10 for 16. And the reason they have hexadecimals is because it's a power of 2, and computers operate on ones and zeros. And 1 and 0 is binary, but you can get several binary digits, which is called bits, in a row, and you can get any power of 2. You can do binary, you can do quartile, you can do octal, and you can do hexadecimal. So hexadecimal gives you 16 possible digits, 0 through 15, and they number them 0 through 9, and then A, B, C, D, E, F. And so that's hexadecimal. Okay, now you got 0 through F, and those are your digits. And if you add one more, it becomes 1 0, which is one set of 16 plus 0 units. Make sense? Now, on the back of your TV, you probably have seen, or on a VCR or something, you got RGB inputs, and that means red, green, and blue. That has to do with one of the two basic systems for telling what kind of colors you have. Now, the two kinds of systems for telling all of the possible colors are the RGB system, and that has to do with adding light or additive color system. And that's what we have here. Anything on a computer is done with the RGB system. And we have 3 different RGB values here. We have red, green, blue, RGB, and they're indicated in hexadecimal. Hexadecimal meaning the first 2 digits are going to be 00 through FF, and that's your red value. The second pair of digits is the same, 00 through FF, and that's your green value, and your third pair is your blue value. Now I'm going to put in the value here, and I'm going to put in 00, 00, 00, 00. That means we have 0 color. And the color we're looking at right here, we have no red, we have no green, and we have no blue, and that color is what? That's black, absolutely. Now, if we want to go to the other end of the spectrum, and we want to fill up the red with the full red value, and the full green value, and the full blue value, 6 Fs in a row, look what color that is. It's all white. So we've got all of the color between all reds and all whites. Now watch these numbers as I drag this thing down, and these are all shades of gray. You'll notice the red, the green, and the blue values are all the same. All right, so that's 939393, right? The red value and the green value and the blue is a shade of gray. When your red value, your green value, and your blue value are all the same, it's going to be a shade of gray. All right, let's go back up here and let's do all red and nothing else. So it's going to be FF0000. Exactly what we expected. It's the brightest red you can get. Let's come back here and let's do all greens. 00FF00. That's the brightest green you can get. Let's do 0000FF, and you get the brightest blue you can get. Now we're back here to body text color, and I am going to come back here, and I want the body text color to be a very dark blue for high contrast for us old people. Now I have put in right here in this color selector the blue that you had on your website, and it happens to be, this is the hexadecimal value for that blue, and that's what it is, and this is what it looks like. Okay, when I click on it, it went away. But you can see now that that's a nice dark blue. You got good contrast even between a light blue background, and it's definitely a good contrast over a lighter background. Now, header text color, you know what? I would like that to be the exact same color. So let's go back down here and put in that exact same value, which I have set earlier up in Divi. This, by the way, is a Divi color selector. And I click on that, and now the default header text color will be the same thing. Let's go back to the top, get out of typography, and let's see, there were other things. We don't want to mess with the background. That's our general settings in the customizer. We can customize our buttons here. I'm going to let you play around with that later on your own. Blog. Now that we do need to look at blog posts. It lets the posts themselves have the max text size. I'm going to leave this all at the default, but you can see you can customize your posts right here. And over here, this is a post. And you can look at that while you're over here customizing your posts. You can do your header text size, and you're doing it for the whole website when you customize it here. Okay, and that's the blog customizer. What does it say? Mobile styles. I don't want to do that here. I want to do that in Divi. It lets you customize your color scheme right here. I do think that's a default. Well, I don't mess with that here. I do that in Divi. There's login press. You can customize it here. We don't want to do that. We don't want to really customize the menus here. We don't want to customize the widgets here. We do that over in the appearance tab on the dashboard. Home page settings. This is something I changed yesterday. We don't want it to be your latest post. We want your home page. In other words, when people type in christiangrandfather.org, you want them to take it to a static page, which is going to be home. And I selected that because I created the home page. Okay, and that's something you're not going to need to change now once it's done. So that basically is all the customization. You can put additional CSS in here. I don't mess with that. I do that in the Divi theme. Now, I'm going to come back here. We have done all the customizations we want. With everything you do in any kind of computer editing, first you select it, then you do what you need to do to it. After you're done with it, the last thing is you want to save your changes. So I'm going to save my changes by clicking Publish. Once that's done, I can get out of the customizer by clicking that button. And now we're back on the dashboard. Let me show you a little bit about the menus. Now this menu is not in the Divi builder. It's over about, let's go back on the dashboard tab, appearance, dashboard. There's appearance, not dashboard. We want menu. Boom. Now you can create as many menus as you like. I've only created one, and it's called main menu. All right. You can create a new menu. I don't know. There's a button on here somewhere that says create new. I'm not going to mess with that right now. And if you need one later, let me know. But over here, these are the pages you have in your site. You can see the recent pages. You can see the all pages. And if you want to do, you add one to the menu, you basically, you check it and you click add to menu, and it comes onto the bottom of the menu. This is the main menu. You can, over here, and I really love this about the menuing system, I don't like the fact that it says home in upper and lowercase and everything else is in uppercase. We can change that. We can make this all uppercase by changing it right here to home. And then, of course, like everything else, you need to change it. You can remove it from the menu You can cancel what we've done. Let me show you something else here. You can add new items from pages to that menu by just dragging or by clicking add. You can change the order of your menu by dragging it to a different position. Just grab it and drag it. You can make sub menus. You remember like drop down menus? Like if you wanted books as a sub menu under submissions, you just drag it to the right, drag it to the right, and now it's a sub menu under submissions. Let's go ahead and save the changes. Where does it say save? There we go. Save, menu, boom, it's saved. Let's come back over here to the front end and let's look at the menu. Let me zoom out a little bit. And notice we still have books, but that's because we haven't reloaded the page. To reload a page, you press your F5 key, F5, and notice now we only have submissions, but now if I click on submissions, there it is as a drop down. Because we just did that in the menu editor. Let's go back over to the menu editor, come back over here. You don't really want books as a drop down under submissions, do you? So I'm going to make that not a submenu. I'm going to come back over here. I'm going to save. Boom, it's saved. Come back over to the front end. And now I'm going to hit F5 to refresh the page. And boom, there's books again. It's back. Okay, that's the menus. So now you know that you can edit your own menus and you kind of know how to do it if you need to. Okay, let's go back to the front end. Here we are on the front end. I'll show you how to change the header in a little bit. You already know how to change the menu. Let's talk about one of the reasons I really love Divi is because if we come up here and we enable Divi Builder, it gives us the twiddle. There's the twiddle. And pop, and auto save it to this. Okay, I'm going to say restore that because there may be a change I didn't save. I don't think there is, but just in case. Now, here's what is so cool. I can click right here and edit it like a word processor. I hit home, I hit the down arrow, I hit delete key, and it's gone. Let me zoom in so I can see that better. Okay. This is some new text in this area of the web page. Period, enter. Now I can enter more text. Period, enter. No, I'm not going to hit enter there. I'm done. Now, remember the rule of editing anything on a computer. First, you select it. We did that by enabling the Divi Builder and then clicking. Then we make our changes, which I did by texting it. And the last step is always what? Save your work. To save your work, you click on this expander button down here on the bottom, the three dots. That expands this. And right here on the very far side, right, you see it says save. I click on that. It gives us a twiddle. And after the twiddle's gone, it gives us a check mark. We have saved our changes. This is now a live web page. If I now go up here, does that say exit Divi Builder? No, that one's exit Visual Builder. I click on that one. And we are now on a live web page. And look at there. That's all the changes we have done. I love it because people can get on their website. They log in. They go to the page they want to change. They enable the builder. They make the changes. They save it, and they're done. It's that easy. First thing, you need to log in. Once you log in, you get the top black bar with all those on it. Next thing you do, you go to the web page you want to edit, and you click on Enable Visual Builder. Once you enable the Visual Builder, it gets the twiddle, and it comes up. You're now in the edit mode. You then click and type, and that's all there is to it. And then save it. Okay. All right, now let's take it the next step. Let's show you what else you can do while we're in the Divi Builder. A universal mouse click on your computer and my computer and any web page on an editor, you double click something, you select a word. Double click, boom, it selected the word. You triple click it, it selects the paragraph. 1, 2, 3. It selected the whole paragraph. Now I can enter more text. I'm going to come here and I'm going to hit an enter and make that its own paragraph. I'm going to triple click this. Now notice when I click to select anything in the Divi Builder in the edit mode, I get this control bar. I can take whatever's selected, I can make it boldface, I can make it italic, I can make it underline, I can center it, text alignment. See, I can make it, oh, let's do that right now. Let's make it centered and it's over here. I can make it right aligned. I can make it justified. I can make it left aligned. It's back on left aligned. Close that particular one. I can create a link, insert a link, which, for example, if I had copied the URL to that picture of the girl in the blueberries, I could then paste it right here. I'd click to insert the link and I could paste it. See, it says URL. I could paste it right there, and this entire text would then be a link so that on the live web page, people could click that and it would take them to that picture. If I wanted to put a link to another web page, I could put it right here. All right. That's something you can play with. I can make it be a block quote, and I don't want to really do that right now. I can change the font. There we go. See, I can change the font. It gives me that whole top bar. I can change it. Right now, it's what's called body text font, but I could change it to be a header. Header level 1, header level 2, header level 3, header level 4. I can change the size of it by dragging this slider. Let's go ahead and do that right now. Notice it got bigger. It's a WYSIWYG editor. In other words, you can see it while it's happening. Let's go ahead and make that boldface and italic and underline. And the last item here, well, not the next last item, is I could change the color. Let's make it red. Boom, done. Also, double click, selects it. We can turn it into a list. We can turn it into a bulleted list or a numbered list. And I'll tell you what, let's do. Let's put something else here. This is an item. This is another item. Enter. This is a third item. Period. Let's go back here. I'm hitting the Control Shift right arrow, selects that one word. Oh, and it gave me that, and let's just make that a bold. It's a third item. Now I'm going to select all three of these lines and I'm going to turn them into a bulleted list. See the bullets? I'm going to turn them into a numbered list. Numbered list, 1, 2, 3. I'm going to indent them. Boom, it's indented. I'm going to unindent them. Boom. Or I'm going to see the green is selected. I'm going to uncheck that and make it not a list. Boom, that's back to the original thing. So let's make it an indented numbered list. You can do that right here in the visual interface of Divi. Is that cool or is that cool? Now, what I've got here, let me go ahead and zoom out of the web page. We've got the header, we've got the menu, we've got this section and row and module containing this text, and this text is there for you to go in and edit and put in there whatever you want as an introduction to your blog. And this is the blog. You know how to get into that. You know how to edit it. I'm going to let you play with it. Here's something that you can understand, that you can take with you for a long time, and remember this. You can never do anything that's so bad it can't be fixed. What that means is don't be afraid to make mistakes. If you are really unsure about what to do, here's what to do. Let's go to the wireframe view. Remember, this is the wireframe view right here. And the wireframe view gives us everything there. I want to play with the text. So what am I going to do first? I'm going to make a copy of it. And I'm going to play with the copy. Now I'm going to get out of wireframe view. And we have that text. And looky here, we got that text. Notice the module, when you hover over it, it gets outlined in black, which is the color of the module. Outline it. Now I'm going to play with this one right here. Not that one, I'm going to play with this one. And whatever I do with it, all I got to do when I'm done is come over here and hit, guess what that is? Trash can, delete me, boom, it's gone. So basically you make a duplicate, you play with the duplicate, you delete the duplicate, and you're boom, done. Or if you like what you did, you delete the original and you keep the duplicate. Let's look down here in the body of this next row. Okay, there's a row. Inside the row is just one section, and inside the section there are two columns, and inside the first column, here's a module. Let me click on the cogwheel, which is the settings. Now, when you click on the cogwheel, that gives you settings for that element. In this case, it's a module. Let's zoom in and see what we've got here. Zoom in even bigger. We are editing the blog module settings. Now, whenever you add a module, now remember, a module is the only place that you can have content. Now, I always like to put in the admin label, blog module. The admin label is what shows up when you go to Wireframe View. So that when you get to Wireframe View, if you have a whole bunch of text modules up there and you haven't given an admin label, all you're going to see is a bunch of gray rectangles, and every single one of them is going to say text. Which one is it? If you want to know which is which, that's where you come to the admin label and you type in text module header for section, or anything that identifies it as being different than all of the other modules you have. Now, you need to spend a lot of time playing with and getting familiar with the control settings, the settings controls for each type of module. This is a blog module. Tell you what I want to do. Let's get out of this blog module first. Down at the bottom, the way to get out of it is you can reload it. You can undo it. You can reload it. You can save your changes. You can exit without saving. I'm going to exit without saving because we didn't make any changes. Let's go to Wireframe View because that's the best way to see the text setting. Notice this particular module in gray, all it says is text. I didn't change the admin label, but then again, it's the only module within that whole section. I'm going to click on the module settings cogwheel, and I'm going to come back here and turn off the Wireframe View. So now we have the module that we can see, plus we have the settings controls are available. Now, whenever you open up a text module, and by the way, a text module is probably going to be the one that you use most often. Whenever you open up a text module, it will open up showing you your text controls. This right here is your text settings entry place. And this used to be the only way you could enter any kind of content into WordPress, is something that looked just like this. The fact that we can do a lot more with it now is testimony to how far they have come. Now, visual is WYSIWYG. Text is code. I come over here to text, and it shows you basically your HTML code. You know what HTML stands for? HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. And HTML is the language that all browsers use to take the code from the server and display it on their screen. It used to be in the early days of web design, and I was in there when they were doing this, they would take everything and they would code it all in line. Your heading, all the styles and all of the positioning was done in HTML. Later on, they discovered that it was much more efficient and effective to take the layout and separate it from the content. And that's where we started getting themes. and to take the styles and separate those from the content. And that's where we started getting cascading style sheets. What we're looking at here is HTML that we are having in our content. So HTML tags are delineated with greater than, less than and greater than signs. So what we have here, this is a paragraph. Let me zoom in a little bit farther. We have an opening paragraph tag right here with less than P. That means, okay, we have a paragraph, and we have inserted some style right here. Text, align, left. That was because I was playing with it earlier. Otherwise, it wouldn't have that in there. And then we have the closing tag. Now I can enter more text. If you don't have a paragraph marker, then it just comes out as default text, which is this. It's what we're seeing. And that's basically all the text. And sometimes you want to come in here into the code and make changes. And I'm just showing you this so that you can see you can do it if you want to, but you don't have to. You can get over here on the WYSIWYG tag, and what you see is what you get. Notice right here, it says that's red, it's boldface, it's underlined, and that's a list. Let's come over here to the code tab, and we're going to scroll all the way down. Come on, scroll down, and look at here. This is all of the HTML code for what you just saw. Now we get here on WYSIWYG tag. Most people prefer WYSIWYG just because it's easier, quicker, and you don't need to worry about stuff. Doing it here in the text editor is another place where you really don't need to worry about stuff because you can do it in Divi. In any computer endeavor, this is somebody who has been coding computers for more than 35 years. There are probably 5 or 6, more likely 10 or 12 or 20 different ways to do the same thing. And you're seeing examples of that right now as far as doing WYSIWYG, doing text, doing Divi stuff, and all that. And all of this is basically the text that's in there. Now, in a text element, they delineate the text. Now, every module, and anything that outlines with black, you can put a link right here, and you can link the entire module to somewhere else. For example, if you want that whole module to link to an About Us page, say you're describing learn more about us or learn more about our upcoming picnic, and you're describing it and doing a lot of description about the picnic, and you will have another page that does even more about the picnic, then you can take that whole module and put the URL for that page right here, and the whole module will link to that page. I very rarely use this, but there's occasions when I do. On the other hand, if all you want is for a certain word to link to it, you can do it in the Divi builder like we showed you before, or you can do it right up here in the text by doing a double click on that word to select the word and coming up here where it has a link, and you can insert the link here too. Like I said, there's many ways to do exactly the same thing. The background right here is for the whole module. Now, I don't have the background set for that module, but let me show you what happens if I do set the background. Let's zoom out so we can see the whole thing. Scroll that down. Okay, you see our module is right here. Let's look at this background. Now, in Divi, you can set a background color. Notice you have a bunch of tabs here. I'll go over those in a second. This one is solid color. If I do a solid color here, and I scroll down a little bit, and I make a background to be red, watch what happens. The whole module changed the background color. I can make it that color. I can make it that color, and you can't see anything. Or I can come up here, and your trash can icon is a universal get rid of it icon. Now it has no background color. Let's do a zoom in. Zoom in, zoom in. Now let's play a little bit with Divi. Scroll up. You can do a gradient. Let's add a background gradient. Okay, yeah, let's do that. Click plus to add one. Notice, zoom out, we now have a background gradient from blue at the top to green at the bottom. That's pretty cool, isn't it? And you can click on this color and you can change it to yellow at the top, and let's click on that one and make it red at the bottom. Boom. So these are some of the things you can do. Let's zoom back in because there's more controls you have, and you're free to play with all of these controls and just see what it does. You can make it a linear gradient. You can make it a radial gradient. Look at the radial gradient. Boom, yellow in the middle and red on the outside. Let's zoom back in. Let's make it back into a linear gradient. Let's see what you can do. Gradient direction. Okay, let's do. See it rotating? Now it's yellow on the right, yellow on the left, yellow on the bottom. You can change that there. We can do the start position. Let me drag that. It changes the start position. Let's change it to a radial gradient. Radial. There's a radial gradient. Here we go. Is that gradient size? Yeah, that's gradient size. Look at that. Oh, that's a blur strength. Look at that. And we can do the start position. Oh, that's the blur. That's the size of the thing. You get it really little, you get it big. There's just all these controls you've got. Okay, and I'm just showing you that to show you what we've got that we could do. Let's get rid of the gradient. You can put a photo behind it. Click on that one, add a background image, and guess where you add it from? Your media pool. Let's pick that one. We'll come down here to the lower right. We're going to upload the image, and hang on just a second. Let me zoom out. Look at there. It's got an image behind it. Now, wait a minute. What else can we do? Let's come back over here to this. Let's give it a color, and let's give it a, where's white? Is that white? There's white. Background image blend. Screen. Let's go to color and see if we can transparentize that. Here's the color. Click. Make it transparent. Wow, there we go. That's what I wanted. Here, let's zoom out and look at that. You got the image, but it's light, and now you can see the text over it. I'm going to leave it at that right now just because we're playing with it, okay? Because there's several other things I wanted to show you right now. Let's get out of the background. We're still on the content and the admin label, and instead of, I'm going to zoom in so I can see this thing. This is a text module, so what I'm going to say is intro text. And since it's a text module, I like to put the word text in all uppercase. Okay, intro persiflage. There we go. Intro persiflage text module. Now, up at the top of this control settings element, that's the content. Let's look at the design. Now here, this is where you can modify the text. I'm not going to do it here. I'm going to show you what you can do. You can change the text font. You can change the weight. You can change the style to italic, all uppercase, upper lowercase, underline, whatever that is, strike through. You can change the text color here. You can change the text size. I'm going to make this bigger just because we can. There's 27 pixels. You can change letter spacing. You can change their line height. You can do this in Divi. You can even add text shadows right here. If I do this, see what happened? It added the text shadows. I'm going to turn that off right now, but you can do the text. If you had a header element in here, you could not just change that header, but you could have any of the heading levels. You could change them individually. Their font, their size, their weight, all this other stuff. You could change that right here. And this is where I really prefer to do it because you get a much finer level of control. Sizing. Now remember, you're in the module. This is the module sizing. The width is grayed out. It's going to be automatic. You can change the max width. Say, I never want this to go over 100 pixels wide. You can change that right here. Module alignment. Tell you what, let's do. Let's change the width to 400 pixels. If you just type in 400, it adds a px, and I don't like that it does that. But if we zoom out, we can see that it's only 400 pixels wide, like that. And now if we come down here to module alignment, where did that go? Got to zoom in to see it. There it is, module alignment. I can zoom back out. And if I click the center it button, it goes, boom, right to the center. If I can click the right align module, it goes and it's over on the right-hand side. So let me zoom back in, boom, and come back into the size. As with everything else, this little recycle arrow, oh, I got to click on it. That little recycle arrow means reset it to the original. Okay. I'm basically just showing you everything you can do. Now, here's something that I think is very important, spacing. Let's zoom back out. Notice that the text is jammed up against the left and jammed up against the top and not quite jammed against the bottom, but spacing is where you correct that. Now, there's two kinds of spacing. They're called margin and padding. Basically, margin is outside the box, padding is inside the box. I wanted to leave the image and the overlay where it is so we can see what's outside the box and what's inside the box. Looking at this, what do you think we need to adjust? Inside the box, which is its padding. All right, I'm going to zoom back in now. Padding is inside the box. Now you can adjust it and it's WYSIWYG. What you see is what you get. I want the top and the bottom to be linked. So I click on that link button and I want the left and the right to be linked. So I'm going to link that one. Now, if I hover over this and click in it, you see I've got an up and down scroll. Now watch what happens to let's do left margin first. Left margin as I click on the up arrow. See it moving? That looks good. Let's do the top one. And that gives us our padding. Oh, it's all 19, so let's all make it 19. Now, if I do margin, that'll change what's outside the box. Another thing that I think is going to be very important that you're going to want to do is the border. The first thing it presents you is rounded corners. Do we want this box to have square corners or rounded corners? Well, if you want rounded corners, the link means all four of them together. If you undo the link, you can do any corner on its own. I want it to be either all of them or any of the four borders. And way down here, it gives you border width, and that should be top as far as I'm concerned. And let's pick a border color. Let's make it our theme blue and drag it to the right until it, watch the border. Look at the border. See what it does? Yep, that's the border. And that's what you can do. Zoom out. All right, I want to do box shadow. Now, box shadow is something I really like because it gives us some depth. And I usually like that one. Now, watch what happens to the left and bottom as I click here. Click, boom. I'm going to click where it says don't do it. Boom, it's gone. And you can click any of these others. It gives you a box shadow. And of course, you have controls over the box shadow. And again, it's only on this one module. You can do their distance, you can do their blur, you can do their intensity, you can even do their color. You can make it a red blur if you want to. See how it changed the blur to red? I like the black just because it looks like black. Okay, those are what I use the most in the Divi module controls. You can do transitions. We're not going to get into that now. You can do animations. We're not going to do that right now. And once you've made all the changes you like, let me put this back where I want it to come up next time. I like it over here on the left. I'm going to click the checkbox. Yes, I'm done. I'm going to click the save button, save my changes, and do a lot of interim saving. Now, the transitions, notice what happens on the post module when I mouse over it. See how it moves? That's a transition. I don't like what it's doing and I don't know how to do it different. I want it to do each one individually. It does all of them at once and I don't like that. So I'm going to have to ask for help on that one because I don't know how to do it. Now I'm going to show you one other thing. I'm going to click on this module. Where is the module control panel? control bar. No, click. There's the module control bar. Let me zoom in. I'm going to show you something really cool. The 3-dot drop down. You saw this earlier, but it didn't mean anything to you at the time, where it says right there, copy module styles. I click on that one, boom, it's gone. Let's just add a new text module. Okay, we're going to scroll down here. See the black plus sign? Black means module, plusing means add new. I'm going to do that. I'm going to come up here, insert new module. Says search. It's easy to type in TE. Okay, there's text. I click on text and it gives me a text module, and I'm just going to basically say okay, because I really don't want that text module. What I really want is to come here and paste module styles, copy. There it is, paste module styles. Paste, there it is. It pasted the module style. You see, it now has the background image, it has the white overlay, it has the border, it has all that stuff. Those are the styles that we put on this module way up at the top. We put those on this module, nope, on this module, and we copied the style and we pasted it here. So that's how you get a style from one module to the other, but I don't want that module there anymore. I want to delete it, boom, it's gone. One final element. When you hover over the border of an element, a section, a row, or a module, you get, notice the light blue, blue is section. The light blue area is the padding. See right down there? I can drag that and it increases the padding of that section. I can drag the green and it changes, come on green, there we go. It drags the green of the section. I can, I can't see any of it here on the module, but tell you what, let's do, let's just add a new text module. TEX, boom, boom. Okay, now we see our new text module right here. I can drag that one and I've got the margin, excuse me, the padding of the text module. If you're outside the box, it's the margin. If you're inside the box, it's the padding. So you can drag them here. Like I said before, there's usually several ways to do anything you want to do. You can change your margin and padding by dragging it, and if doing it in a rough way is okay, like this section padding right here, I can drag that a little bit smaller, and that's fine for me. But if I want to be more precise, that's when I go into the settings controller and I change the numbers of it.
Okay, that's the video that I had for Andy. There was actually a lot more to it than that. It was 2 hours and 12 minutes, and I cut it down to the length that you just saw. If you want to hear more about how to build websites, please let me know in the comment section below and let me know what it is you want to know how to do. I will be happy to make a lot more videos in the playlist on this channel. So go ahead and let me know that. If you thought this video was helpful, you know what to do. Give us that thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe, click that red button, and then hit the bell icon, and YouTube will definitely let you know whenever we post another video right here on David's Tutorials. So take care everybody, and we'll see you in the next video.